This is the real concrete jungle.
Where I'm from, yeah. I'm from a concrete jungle in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
The concrete jungle.
What up, y'all? Welcome to the Concrete Jungle Podcast. It is your Uso Devotion, chilling with some of your favorite artists and introducing you to some dope people making an impact in the community. Shout out to Island City Media Group for bringing you the Concrete Jungle every Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. California Fresh Coast time. Make sure you guys tap in and download that Dash Radio app, streaming live music 24/7. So tonight, we are welcoming to the Concrete Jungle an Uso that has a dope, interesting story to tell. I first came across this Uso's YouTube telling prison stories, and I was tapped in, from the beginning. This Uso has a dope YouTube channel called 30 to Life with about over 30,000 subscribers, where he takes you on a journey through his personal experiences and interviews some former inmates on their experiences caught up in the system. This Uso is definitely putting in work. Please welcome to the Concrete Jungle from 30 to Life. We got the Uso Ron up in the building, y'all.
Thank you for
so
having
check it
me.
out, man. Uso, welcome to the Concrete Jungle, man. We appreciate you, Uso. First of all, before we get started, man, how you doing? How's everything been going?
I'm doing good. Life's good. Just been keeping busy during the pandemic, just trying to keep safe and healthy.
That's what's up. I know with the kind of work you're doing with the podcast and the pandemic, probably is working to your advantage at this point.
Yeah, it kind of opened up a lot of avenues for a lot of people who are entrepreneurs or just, really trying to share the story. Gives a little entertainment for a lot of people during this whole mess.
Yeah, that's what's up. And like I said, man, I came across your YouTube channel. You're just kind of one of those, late nights working on some stuff. And, YouTube's one of those rabbit holes where you just kind of dive in and you're just kind of like, oh, shit, how'd I get here? So, when I came across your channel, I was like, yo, this is pretty dope. I always kind of wanted to know like some inside scoop type, So before we get to all of that, give us a little bit of insight. What's it like growing up in Vacaville?
So, growing up in Vacaville was different for me because I was pretty much, the only Samoan family there. I believe there was one other family that was there. They lived on the other side of town, but I didn't really know them. So I grew up, trying to fit in Vacaville pretty much. It's heavily populated with mainly whites and Mexicans and very few blacks. So, I kind of just got in where I fit in, growing up out there. So it was that kind of childhood pretty much.
Okay. Is it like an upper class neighborhood?
Yeah, I love middle class, neighborhood. Really just, working people. They put a prison there in Vacaville, way back in the days, and it kind of just gave a lot of people jobs, including my dad. So, that's how it was in that area, just working class people.
That's dope. So for some of us that's not familiar with Northern Cali, so like you're kind of like in the San Francisco, Sacramento area. Where exactly is Vacaville from there?
Right. I'm in the 707 area code. So, we're not too far from Vallejo, about like 12 miles from Fairfield. So we're right there, on the edge of the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
Much. And then you start getting into Sacramento and everything.
Yo, okay. That's what's up. So like it kind of sounds like Orange County out here. You know what I'm saying? You got your middle class that lives like right next to the upper class, you know what I'm saying, with your Palangis and, some Mexicans with a sprinkle of, some of the black folks.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds kind of familiar, with that. So,
right.
I got some folks out in Frisco, visiting them out there, it's pretty grimy, I'm pretty sure, does Vacaville have that certain little, grimy, dirty area, or is it just clean?
For the most part, it's a pretty nice area. You got your spots, though, certain areas, of course, where the community is a little different. But, it's nothing like San Francisco or Oakland or anything like that. It has its own little issues, of course. But I think that Vacaville is mainly pretty much influenced because of the prison. A lot of people move there from LA area, even from the Bay Area, just to be either for work or to be closer to their families. So, Vacaville kind of gets a taste of different areas from that. Yeah.
Got you. Got a kind of a diverse
right
pot for everybody.
Right.
So you're Uso, obviously, right? For
Yes.
everyone that's tapping in with us. So growing up, Uso back in the day, in Vacaville, what was the music climate like back then?
Yeah. So, like I said, I got in where I fit in, and, I hung out with the brothers out there. So I got into hip hop at a young age, started off listening to Run DMC, around 10 years
Hey.
old, and, got into, Eric B, Rakim, and, all those rappers back in the 80s. And then, when the 90s hit, I started getting into the gangster rap, West Coast started popping more, you had,
Yeah.
NWA and all that. Of course I listened to Short and all that because, being from the Bay Area and all, but, that's what I got into in the 90s, pretty much the gangster rap,
That's
kind of
what's
took
up.
over then, but yeah.
And that's dope. I always ask, this sometimes, because the Bay from down south, it's a huge difference. It's about an 8-hour difference. Why do you think like the music it sounds different? We're from the same state. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Just the different areas. I think, I can't really speak for Los Angeles. What I know about LA is mainly, it has a big gang culture. But with the Bay Area, it was different, back in the 80s, 70s and all that. You had the movement of the Black Panthers and things like that. And it was just different, it's more political.
Yeah.
And people out there, we don't really trip on the whole race thing and all that. It's more about, kind of taking care of your families and doing what you got to do, and hustling's just been a big thing in the Bay Area. Everybody's always, tripping on certain spots and things like that. It's never been really a gang thing. It's more like, turf funk, where, we sell dope here and, you sell dope over there. Don't come over here. You know what I'm saying? But
straight lifestyle.
yeah. So the influence in the music, it carried on. The streets carried on into the music, you know what I'm saying? So we had more things to talk about, like getting money or pimping, and things like that. So yeah,
it's definitely a vibe, man. When we in the Bay, man, it is definitely a vibe. So how old are you, Oos?
I'm 44.
44. Hey, that's a good number, man. That's my family number, actually. So
I'm loving this
44,
age.
Growing up back then. So let's get into the YouTube channel where, I was introduced to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, as I was going through some of the stories, man, I was like, yo, this is dope, because a part of our culture is kind of like unseen for us to kind of like be vulnerable and talk about, our experiences. And I was like taken back by like, wow, Oos is like really like kind of like letting us in, and so moving on from like your teenage years and how you got involved. I know you caught a 30 to life sentence in the beginning, like just off back. So how old were you when that happened, when you caught that charge?
I believe I was 22 years old when I caught that charge. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were really young, man. When I was watching that story, bro, I was like, yo, this is interesting. You know what I'm saying? One left turn to the homie JP's house could really, you know what I'm saying, take you on another journey that you never really expected. So as you were getting involved at that time, and you got locked up around 22, what was life like before that? Right before all that, what was life like before that for you?
So yeah, it was the 90s and I was getting in a lot of trouble, as a youngster. I had been to juvenile hall, CYA, and, I was into the gangster rap and all that. We thought we was little gangsters and, we just being bad and shit. But at the time before I caught the case, I was actually on the run from parole from YA and just kind of hiding out basically and just trying to do what I got to do as far as taking care of myself on the streets. But other than that, man, it was just hiding out. And I came out, popped my head out from hiding one day, and we were at a party, and a couple friends of mine got into it with another group of people. Well, just a couple people, and a fight broke out where, it's just hands and feet, no weapons. It wasn't even gang related or anything. These guys weren't gang related. It's just, a bunch of drunk people arguing. And so a fight broke out where me and the guy got in the fight first, and I took off on him. and he hit the ground. And when he hit the ground, just like almost everyday fighting, a couple of cats that were with me jumped in and they started stomping on him. And so that basically caused injury to the brain, hematomas to the brain, and it, ended up causing his death. So, that's pretty much what happened. And then we ended up going to court and getting charged with second-degree murder, even though it wasn't intentional, even though there was no weapons, not gang related, but because of my background and things like that, the DA was pushing hard. So, and that's what happened.
I know a part of the story, I was hearing that you were told like one of the homies was getting jumped up the street.
Yeah, well, so basically, because I didn't know nothing that happened that night. I got all the bits of story, of course, later on, after we got arrested and everything. But basically, from the story that was told to me is that when one of my friends left that party, he headed down the street and ran into these guys, and some words were exchanged. But there was a couple of them down there, and it was just my homie that was down there. And so they couldn't really see what was going on. But the message was relayed that he was getting jumped. And so when I ran down the street, it was pretty far from what they estimated in the case. It was about a football field length of where I had to run to get to this. That's why it was far, and it was at nighttime. So when I got down there, there was no one there, no one there. And I was standing there for a hot second, and then somebody came out the bushes and basically started confronting me. But what I found out later on down the road is it was the friend of the guy that was getting into it with my buddy, right? Gotcha. He was in the bushes taking a piss. Oh, and so my friend and his friend were getting into it. They had took off already, left him in the bush. So when he came out the bushes, I was standing there. And that's how it all went down. So we started confronting each other. I'm thinking he got a problem with one of my friends. He thinking, I got a problem with his. And it just went down from there. And, unfortunately, the stomping and the kicking stuff caused his death. And it's something that you would never think would happen. I've been in plenty of fights my whole life, and you see a lot of fights, that's just kind of the thing you see out there. But you never would have thought that, something like that, a drunken fight would cause somebody's death, but it did. And, it actually turned my whole life around, a lot of people's lives around.
Yeah, I was about to say more than one of your lives have turned around from that.
Yeah.
Since then, have you been able to kind of like reconcile with some of your co-defendants or some of the homies that were involved in all this?
Yeah, so I don't talk to them really. I did, look them up when I got out, of course, just curious. And I ran into one of them he's the actual guy that, caused the death of this individual. But, for a long time, me and him didn't speak. We actually fought, in San Quentin when we first got there. We got down, because of this. But, today he's a different person. He's actually a pastor of a church now. And I contacted him and we sat down for lunch. He apologized about everything and his part, and everything back then. And, it was really cool meeting him again and kind of smoothing things out, because like I said, in the penitentiary, we got down the first day we hit San Quentin, and then we didn't really see each other much after that, so it's just always been problems. But now he's doing good. Another co-defendant, I had 3 total. Another one of mine, he's not doing so good. He's been in and out, and he never had been in trouble before this case. And he ended up, getting caught up with this case for the first time ever being in trouble. And now that guy, he's in and out of jail. He's in jail right now. He lives in the Bay Area. He sleeps in a tree in Berkeley. Yeah, he's doing really bad. He got hooked on drugs while in prison. And so I don't know. It's just crazy. And then the other guy I haven't talked to for years. So, but yeah.
It really has changed more than just your life.
Yeah, it's affected a lot of people, and you really think about it, and another reason why I did this too is because I was never allowed to speak about it to, the victims or anything like that. And I always wanted to. I had asked my parole officer, I talked about this in a video, if I could write them a letter. He said, absolutely not. No contact with the victims, period. So, I just basically wanted them to know that, you know, something good did come out of this. I'm doing better with my life and I'm helping people now, you know, and, you know, I'm deeply regret my involvement in what happened. But, you know, I just wanted them to know that, like, hey, we're not committing more victims no more. I'm doing better and I'm helping people now, you know, and something good came out of that whole situation, even though it was very unfortunate and, you know, what they had to go through. And I wish I could take it back, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a super unfortunate, you know, incident
Yeah.
right there. So when you were talking about that in the video, how you got sentenced, so they hit you with the 30. I mean, you first got the 15, right? And then they doubled it on you.
Yeah, because I had been in trouble as a youngster, you know, so I had felonies as a kid, and they actually used a felony that I had got in trouble for as a teenager, and they applied it to this case and doubled up my sentence from 15 to life to 30 to life. So
wow,
yeah, that's how.
Do you think that's justifiable for, you know, what the situation was?
My lawyer didn't seem to think so at the time, so we had a separate hearing to see if that would be even used in the case, and of course we lost. So they applied it, but yeah, I don't think it was right. You know, it was something I did as a youngster. But either way, you know what, I was doing stupid shit, and either way, I have to pay for my consequences. It's not something like I can't say it's unfair, but at the same time, you know, it was like, according to law, it shouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, some of our people, black and brown, you know, they're targeted and sometimes made an example out of, just to kind of justify why we have certain laws in place. And you know, that's why I was just warning, you know, from that standpoint, you know, is it justifiable to, you know, like, you're young, you know what I'm saying? You got like a lot of life ahead of you, and like 30 on top of that, like, fuck, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that's heavy right there. So were you did you finish out your term?
Yeah. So 5 years into my sentence, I ended up getting an appeal because when we got convicted, I filed for an appeal. The guy that I was telling you about just a moment ago, that I felt, you know, had the sole responsibility for this whole thing, he didn't file an appeal because he just felt like, you know, hey, it is what it is. I got a life sentence. I did it, whatever, you know. So he didn't file for appeal, but because we were co-defendants and things like that, our appeal got granted. So he automatically got a chance to come back. But yeah, 5 years after I got the appeal, went back, it took about a year. And then I took a deal for 6 years, where I could have got out. But because of that strike, that prior, they doubled it to 12 years with 85. So I went back and did some more time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did a total of 10 years, 4 months, but I got the L off about halfway through the sentence.
Man, when you first went in, were you kind of like just accepting of the sentence and everything that was about to happen?
Yeah. You know, like I said, my first day in San Quentin, I got down with my co-defendant. We were chunking them in the cell, in the holding tank. I was just bitter and angry. You know, I had a wife and kid at the time when I went. And, you know, so I was just mad at the world, and I felt like 30 to life, I'm never going home. You know, I met people in there after a while that had 7 to life sentences, and they were on their 32nd year incarcerated. Damn. So, yeah, so there was just no hope of me going home on a 30 to life. It for sure that was going to hold you, you know what I mean? But so I was bitter and angry. So I got in a lot of fights I didn't care about much, you know, so, yeah.
How long did that last for you?
The anger?
Yeah, the anger, you know what I mean?
Throughout the whole time, you know, even to my last 2 days before I went home, I was fighting. So, you know, it's just a different environment in there. You know, I'm like today, who I am today, being home, I'm a father, you know, and a husband, you know, I take care of my family and stuff. I can't imagine the person who I was then, but when I was in there, something else took over. Yeah. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
So, Us, what kept you grounded and focused during that term? You know, what kept you moving, motivated?
Yeah, like, you know, I really, I have to be honest, man. I just really wasn't, you know, a productive prisoner. The life sentence really just mentally hit me. And then going through level 4 prisons and things like that, you know, riding with my Usos over there, you know, you find a different mentality of, you know, in prison. It's a different world, and the brotherhood in there, you know what I mean, that comes first before anything else, you know. So, you know, I programmed the way I was supposed to program, you know, until I walked out that gate. So, you know, that's just how it is in there. And when I walked out the gate, it was a dose of reality, you know, like I didn't know how to function. You know, I mean, you took a kid, locked him up for a long time, and then put him out and said, be an adult now, you know? So yeah, I just functioned the way I was supposed to function in the pen, the way I thought I was supposed to function, you know? And I'm sure I could have got trades and things like that, but yeah, focusing on my family too, though, you know, helped me, you know, just knowing I got my daughter to go home to, you know, I wanted to go home, but at the same time, I wanted to make it through this shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Wow, man, that's heavy. Yeah. You know, speaking on like something like an inmate serving 7 to life, something that's a little bit, you know, of a shorter term than yours. Is it possible to do that amount of time and not have to get involved in the politics and everything?
It depends. You know, I've seen people come into prison and become Christians and things like that. But even like it depending on what type of yard you're on, you know, if you're on a very political yard and you come in and you decide to, you know, take the religious route, you know, your peoples are going to watch you. You know what I mean? Like if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be on the yard sipping Pruno and buying drugs and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So that right there will get you, you know, get you did in, you know. So can you ride by yourself? In a sense, kind of, but you know, you're always being watched, and you know, you're putting yourself open to the wolves pretty much, you know. So
it doesn't happen often.
No, I didn't see it happen often. You know what? When I got to the lower levels, you know, of course, yeah. But you know, you see some weird things when you get to the lower levels. You know, the politics aren't as strong. You know, that you'll have a guy on the yard that just feeds birds all day, feeds the seagulls all day. You know what I mean? So he's not politicking. He's not involved in, you know, the gangs. He's not involved in all that shit. But that's on the lower levels. You know, if you're on a higher level, they'll just get rid of you. You know what I mean? Because you're taking up bed space for a real soldier, you know, for the movement. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It's a real war zone, you know?
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's sounding like.
For us, it was because, you know, we're a smaller group, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I say this all the time to people. People will say, oh, yeah, the Usos, the Asians, they don't really, you know what I'm saying, get into much. And that's true. We don't. But we have our war stories. And the reason why we're on the yard still is because of those wars. And so, and people don't realize that being the smallest group, one of the smallest groups on the yard, you know, we're still there. Yeah. You know, we haven't been removed. And you can go to a lot of these yards where a whole gang or a whole race has been removed, and you'll see Usos and Asians still walking the line. So, you know, it is what it is, man. We carry it. We carry ourselves a certain way in there too. So, you know,
that's what's up.
Yep.
So when the Usos come out of the pen, can they, you know, you go in as enemies, and when you come out, can you leave it? Can you start where you left it in the pen, and you know, we're grown men, we're mutual, or does it have to go back to the street rules?
Yeah, so it depends. You know what I mean? Like you're in the LA area, right? Yeah. And so you know, that's where I meet. You know, in prison, I meet a lot of Usos that gangbang come from the LA area, and you know, I've met like, you know, Usos that are functioning with black gangs, you know what I'm saying, that come to prison and still function with black gangs. So they still continue that process when they get out. But I've met Usos that have functioned with black gangs and came in and got, you know, with the Uso program in there. And man, you know, they've walked out of there with a whole different mentality, realizing that, you know what I mean, we were fighting each other, realizing that we were just keeping each other down the whole time, and found out in the penitentiary we needed one another, and together we were stronger, you know what I'm saying, versus fighting one another. You know, we were short in numbers in there. So, you know, and we're, you know how it is. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, pump our folks up, but, you know, together we are stronger. You know, we was known as a tank up in there. So, you know,
that's real.
Worked out better for us that way. And when you hit the streets, you realize that, you know, you go back to that gang mentality, you realize that, like, man, we're just hurting one another, but, you know, what for? It's not making no sense. You know what I mean? Over something that really didn't belong to us anyway. You know what I'm saying? But you being an oddity, you being a poly that belongs to you, that's you, that's your culture. You know what I'm saying? That's something, you know, worth representing, in my opinion. You feel me? So
no, I feel it. No, people are definitely powerful in that sense. And you know what I'm saying? It's not even like pumping it up when it's true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, one of my Usos that was down, you know, he told me that the way the COs, I guess the system would look at it, for everybody in the other car, like one person was equal to like 4 other inmates in another car.
Yeah, so real talk, man. You know, we start getting a little deep. I'm talking about, you get 9-10 polys on the yard, they get nervous. You know what I mean? There's stories that I haven't brought out about the Usos that were doing time in the 80s and the early 90s. You know, there's stories where, you know, there was 9 Usos on the yard, and they fought, you know, all the Mexicans on the yard. And at the end, when the smoke cleared, it was just the Usos standing. Ooh. And so basically what they did, these COs will talk about it, it's a true story, that what they had to do is they shipped these 9 Usos to 9 different penitentiaries because they didn't want them together. So, you know, anytime we get deep in there, they get nervous. But, you know, we're up against 300 blasts, 300 Mexicans. We're up against the numbers all the time. So that's just how it is in there. So, you know, you coming from the streets, fighting one another, even the Asian homies, you know, fighting one another, you know what I mean? You come into the pen, you're committing crimes, you're breaking the law, you're going to end up either dead or in the penitentiary. You know, that's pretty much the end goal for anything like that. And so when you end up in the penitentiary, you find out that your enemies are going to be the ones that are laying their lives down on the line for you in the penitentiary. Right next to you. Yep.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I was watching one of your videos where you were saying that, and you're addressing how just, you know, some of the Asians out there, how you might think it's one way, then you come in a pen, you sit right next to your enemy. Like, that's some tough shit to, you know, kind of deal with and settle with you know, yourself. Yep. You know, that's just crazy right there.
Yeah. So, and, you know, with us, with the whole car, you know, the car is what's important. Your individual beef, your individual street gang beef, it don't mean nothing in there. You know what I'm saying? Because what we have in there is more important, you know what I'm saying? And that's our unity, you know, our survival.
That's dope. See, that's our people straight up, man. You know what I'm saying? From the roots, you know, we all heart, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's dope, you know? And man, I really want to dig into a lot of those stories, but I'm like, shit, you know, we're going to shock the fuck out of everybody with some of that, you know? Man, Uso, one thing I wanted to know about being locked up, because, you know, we all got someone who's behind the walls, or, you know, when you're behind, you know, and you're down, how is it when the visiting stops, the letters stop, the commissary's down? What's going through y'all head?
That's a good question. So, you know, I think that everyone ends up going through that. If you're doing any real time in there, you know, family, friends, girlfriends, wives, even, you know, they fall off after time, you know what I mean? Because people got to live their lives on the streets. Things don't stop. But in the penitentiary, everything comes to a halt. You know, you're just in a new world now. You're on a yard, and everything's the same every day, program, you know. And I think, man, for me, my own experiences, when, you know, several years down the road, my wife ended up leaving me, you know, and my kid and everything. And you know, it's one of those things where you don't really deal with because, you know, you're surrounded by, you know, gangsters and all that. But, you know, when those lights go off, you know what I'm saying, and you're in that cell by yourself, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're going to shed some tears for your kids, for your wife, for your losses, things like that. And it might even break you, and it might even make you bitter, you know. So that's another game up in there that you got to master, you know, is your own mind from cracking up in there, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they take a lot from you. Prison takes a lot from you, you know, and they purposely send you far from your families just to, you know, break up that whole family thing. You know, like if you look up in all the northern prisons, all the Southsiders are down here from LA. Most people from LA are sent down here up north, you know what I'm saying? And it's purposely designed that way to separate you from your families. But I don't care how tough you are, how many tattoos you got, how many people you knocked out, man, you're going to shed a tear for your loved ones. You are, and your freedom that you miss, you know, it is rough at night when those lights go off.
Yeah, I bet, man. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. You know, one of my Usos just got out like a year ago. And, you know, as we were talking, you know, one thing about talking to an Uso that just got out, man, he make you rethink shit about your life. You know what I'm saying? And I told my Uso straight up, I said, damn, Uso, I said, Uso, hold up real quick, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ready for the rest of this story, but at the same time, I'm like, shit, dog, I can't go to jail. I said, I couldn't survive like the holding cell. You know what I'm saying? Man, that's crazy, Uso. Do you think some of the inmates, I know it might be on a case-to-case basis, but do you think like inmates come out with like some resentment because of the visiting stop, the communication's not there?
Yeah, like for me, you know, I don't really have too many friends, you know, so, and I think that's, you know, from my experience with prison, you know, I realized a lot, you know, with people as far as, you know, loyalty and real family shit, you know what I'm saying? You know, when you're going through it and you're down and out, you're going to find out who the real people are in your life, you know what I'm saying? Who really loves you, you know what I mean? I'm talking about real love. Right. You know, it's those that stick with you through the hardest times in your life, you know? So, you know, even though my wife fell off and everything, I know she really loved me and I don't blame her. I don't blame nobody really for falling off, but my experience has taught me that, you know, I can't never really depend on someone to truly be there for me, except for me to be there for me. You feel what I'm saying? Right. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, people have their own lives to live. So, yeah, don't get locked up, man. You know, don't test it. You ain't gonna like what you find out. Yeah, you ain't gonna like what you find out. Your relationship's gonna be put to the test. I don't care how much y'all love each other or whatever. You know, it's different, man. When you locked away, you know, no contact. And so, yeah, do people get bitter? Yeah, I guess so in a way, or they just change the way they live. You know, like for me, I don't mess with too many people, you know. I mess with the people that I know is loyal to me and who I'm loyal to, you know.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Made my circle smaller. That's pretty much it.
Hey, man, I feel that, man. All I kick it with is my kids, bro. If I'm not at a football field, bro, I'm at a dance studio. You know what I'm saying? No, that's just real. Speaking of loyalties, I think, you know, some of us want to know, you still homies with Kim?
I haven't talked to her in a long time, but yeah, that's still my good friend, you know. Yeah, I ain't got no issues with her.
Man, everybody need a homie like him, you know what I'm saying?
She's a rider, man.
Drop everything and check on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what's up, Uso.
She's a rider.
You know, hey, so I hear like, you know, for some of the inmates coming out, y'all not allowed to keep in contact with the guys that's down, right? So
depending. Yeah, you know, like with me, right? You know, I don't want to be writing the Usos in there and shit like that because, you know, we're steady under the scrutiny by the police and the system in there, you know, just everybody's under scrutiny. So, you know, what am I writing the Uso for? You know, except for, you know, you need some money, you need a package or something. That's about it, you know. So gotcha. I got one Uso that's locked up right now that, you know, I try to look out for. So, you know, but he's a lifer. He ain't never you know, he's an OG. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Man, that's crazy, Uso. You know, hopefully, you know, it's crazy what they're doing in prison now. I think the other day I seen some cats having a fashion show. like in the eating area or wherever it was, but it was like some prison up in like down south or some shit.
Yeah,
And I was like, that can't
I
be
think I
Cali.
saw that.
Like, that's not
Yeah,
Cali.
that's not happening in Cali, man. I mean, you know, you never know now, man, but it was different back then. But yeah, I'd never seen nothing like that in the penitentiary when
Yeah, I
I was
seen the
there.
video where you were talking about how you seen Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how being in that the condemned area, they get all the amenities of a laptop and shit like that. Like, that's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, who provides that? The family or the government? What is that?
Yeah, so the first time I saw that was because I was going to Whole Overflow, and when I was walking past the cell, you know, I was walking with this officer. He was escorting me through, and he was saying all the famous people are here, all the people you see on TV or whatnot, and I was like tripping on their computers and shit. And he basically said that, you know, they have access to that because they don't get movement like we do. They don't go to the law library. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't get movement. So they have to provide them with this so that they have a good, you know, chance at appealing their case. You know, it's part of, you know, your right is to be able to appeal your case and to fight your case. So that's why they provide them with that. And I think that who provides it is pretty much either taxpayers, of course, or someone who donates, you know, a group that helps prisoners probably, but I'm not really too sure.
Man, that's crazy, man. Hopefully some of the Usos, you know, that's down are able to, you know, stream it on the phone, catching you on your 30 to life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you got any feedback yet.
It's like you said. It's like you said, man. Our peoples, man, they don't like to speak on a lot of shit, and so I'm one of the first that's on here, you know, trying to be open about, you know, things we go through as polys out here in California, out here in the mainland. You know what I mean? It's different from the islands, and so, you know, I'm trying to speak on that, on our upbringing, the way we were raised, and, you know, things like that. So I don't know. A lot of the Usos, they don't like to talk about that shit. You know,
that's real.
Yeah, you know how it is. And my mom, to this day, you know, I'll ask my mom about family history and shit, and what you want to know that for? You know, why you ask? You know,
that's real shit.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
how it is. So
where you're at right now,
yeah,
you know, like, I think that you've succeeded at, you know what I mean, taking the platform to speak to the victims and you know, the victim's family, and to, you know, somebody out there who might be going through the similar situation. Has YouTube brought you like success beyond what you started to initially do it for?
Yeah, so I started YouTube because, you know, I was going through a depression period, you know, where I just, you know, feeling alone about my situation. I didn't really have many people to talk about it, you know, what I was going through. And so, you know, my oldest kid suggested to me to just start talking on the videos, you know, just start getting it off my chest pretty much. So I started doing that, and then we put it on YouTube, and, you know, it just overnight, man, people started telling me they feel the same way and that they've been through similar things. And, you know, this is helping me. Please keep sharing. So, you know, that's what I basically, after that, just kind of focused in on, is just trying to be transparent to help other people who are going through similar situations, and just try to, you know, give, you know, information on things I learned and things from my experiences. Maybe it'll help someone out there. So yeah, the feedback has been good, and that's what I love doing it for, you know.
That's what's up. I couldn't tell that you were doing it trying to get out of something that was, you know, dealing with depression, because when I'm watching the videos, Zeus, it seems like this is something you've done, you know. Seems like this is your line of work. So that's pretty dope, man. What is your advice for anybody who's dealing with someone who just got locked up, someone who's just caught a sentence, maybe a life sentence? What's your advice for those family members or friends?
Good question. That's a good question. So as far as helping the inmate, I mean, helping the person who's being locked up, or helping the family?
Yeah, all of it across the board. What's your advice to them, like what they might be going through?
I think, man, what I needed the most was legal representation, you know, because of course, like, you know, we're going out committing these crimes and acting crazy and stuff, but we're not, you know, educating ourselves on what happens afterwards when the law comes down on us. You know what I'm saying? So I think when you're going through something like that, you need to either get somebody that can help you with your case or start educating yourself real quick and start learning as much as you can as far as your rights, because you won't be told anything. You won't, you know, so except for the jailhouse lawyers, all the other people who are locked up with you, they're going to tell you what they think. But yeah, you want to learn as much as you can while you're in there. Stack your money, you know, get ready because it's about to go down, you know, because they're going to take your life, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's best to just stay the hell out of trouble, you know, because when you go through that, they hit you every way they can, man. They hit you with your time, your whole life, your pockets, your family's pockets, everything. So, yeah,
it ain't worth it.
Yeah, I think if anything, just avoid it. Don't get involved in shit, man. Don't get locked up. The system is there for that reason, is to lock you up, to deal with us in that manner. So if you don't want to go through that shit, yeah. So if you don't want to go through that shit, don't even get involved in it, man. It's not worth it. It isn't. You know, there's other ways to make things happen in your life, man. You know,
that's what's up.
Yeah,
and
but if
families.
Mm-hmm. For the families, man, I think the best thing for the family to do is try their best to, you know, keep those letters coming in as far as support goes. You know, it's hard with phone calls. I know, like, a lot of us that dealt with our families had to pay a lot of money with these phone calls and things like that. So, you know, the most cheapest and free way to let your folks inside know that you support them, that you ain't forgotten about them, is shoot them a letter every once in a while. Even in the holidays, if it's just the holidays, let them know you thinking about them, because in there's no hope. But if you have someone on the street pulling for you, or someone who ain't forgot you, that gives that person in there hope. So, you know, that's what you want to kind of like instill with your family members who are locked up in there. Give them hope, man. Give them a chance. Even though there's a life sentence, still give them hope. Because when I ran out of hope in there, I became a different person, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of light. Shed a little bit of light. That's what's up, man. Man, Uso, I appreciate you, brother. Like, you have no idea, man. Like, I don't run into a lot of Usos like you who come out and are not institutionalized. You know what I'm saying? I'll just be honest with you, man. But, you know, Us, I really do commend you, Us, for your work that you're doing, the platform that you're taking off into, Us. I really think it's dope, man. Do you have any future projects, any plans coming up that we can look forward to?
Yeah, I'm working on dropping a podcast here pretty soon. Doing more interviews with a lot of more people. Having a hard time getting my Usos on there. So if y'all listening, you know, you did time, you know, this is helping our peoples, man. So, you know, think of it that way. You know, I wish I had somebody to talk to back when I was growing up, or wish somebody was there to talk to me, at least try to help school me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Hey, Uz, man, I know more than a handful. Maybe I can kind of redirect some traffic.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's dope, man. And Uz, keep letting this voice, you know what I'm saying, be heard. Can you let everyone out there and us know how can we get a hold of you? Social media, all that. Yeah.
I have a YouTube channel called 30 to Life. And then Instagram, you can hit me on Instagram at 30_2, the number 2 life. Yeah, that's pretty much it. My email, official 30tolife@gmail.com.
Hey, that's what's up. That's the Uso Ron right there. We'll make sure we plug this, link it in with our Instagram, also with Island City Radio. We got a lot of dope shit coming up, Us, and we want to make sure that we line you up with it also. I just want to thank you once again, Us, for tapping in with the Concrete Jungle. Everybody out there, make sure you tap in every Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. We got a lot of good shit coming up, Us. Appreciate you, my Uso. Much love.
Thank you for having me. What's up, everybody? This is Uso Ron from 30 to Life, and you're listening to Devotion on Concrete Jungle.
The Concrete Jungle.